Dr. Salvador is a name that needs no introduction, encompassing the peak of RE4's horrifying design choices. He's widely regarded as the scariest, the most mysterious enemy in the entire series, the sole reason for many sleepless nights among first-time players, myself included. The sound of his chainsaw tears through our ears, leaving the most traumatic of scars. With the more confused of us left to wonder who this man even is, and no matter how hard we try, why does he keep coming back? The Chainsaw Man is encountered multiple times throughout RE4, starting with the village square near the beginning of the game. Our first greeting is aggravated. Seeking refuge in one of the cabins, we try and keep him out. Despite this, he keeps his chainsaw prepared and tries to break down the door anyway. He wants us dead, much like our friend on the stake. Maybe he lost a game of bingo. The thing that makes Dr. Salvador as terrifying as he is his unhuman determination to chase us down on a second's notice. Lacking much animation or expression, his willingness to kill us is unrelenting. It's like something you get chased by in your dreams. You can only stumble over your own feet at a walking pace in a desperate attempt to escape. We lose all motor function and the sound keeps getting louder. He walks through bullets like it doesn't even affect him. Not even a flinch, and the sack shrouds his identity. This man is a demon, and it's horrific to encounter this when you've just started the game. More attempts to try and uncover more about Dr. Salvador have been unsuccessful. Once again, very little is known about this guy. His bottle cap, which is obtainable through the shooting gallery, gives us a name, although everything else is speculative. Even predating the original release of RE4, the history of Dr. Salvador goes back a very long time. Overall, the presence of the Doctor makes him great for my first character lore video, and I'm glad that I can shine some light on the mystery surrounding him. So, the bottle cap gives a name as mentioned, but it also gives a job description. I doubt this maniac has a PhD, so we'd be quick to assume that he had to have been the village's doctor prior to the outbreak. In the end credits, we see a man, coincidentally turned away from the camera to hide his face, administer a Las Plagas transfusion to an unfortunate resisting subject. This could be our man. In fact, this room lines up to this one. We can see the chair where he's sitting, but also the small table where his mask is set. Both items are present in this shot also, just rearranged slightly. When looking at it more, this could also be the larger table in the adjacent cabin from the one we're initially ambushed. We can also see two women holding this person down. Maybe they're Dr. Salvador's nurses. I wonder if they're still alive. I wonder if they have chainsaws much like the Doctor. Maybe they're sisters. So we know that Dr. Salvador is in fact a doctor, and that the Bella sisters are his nurses, most likely. But what's with the chainsaw? Why don't we ever see it in the end credits? Well, injections don't typically involve chainsaws, at least I hope not, but chainsaws were invented for medical purpose, specifically childbirth. Obviously, modern advancements in medicine and practice negated the use of chainsaws, hence why they aren't used anymore. But the village in RE4 is very primitive. They lived traditionally in a time preceding the Industrial Revolution, making Dr. Salvador's chainsaw a viable instrument for childbirth. That goes for the Bella sisters' chainsaws as well. When translated to English, Salvador means savior. Normally, this is a common celebratory title designated to medical professionals, specifically surgeons. With this evidence, I can say with confidence that Dr. Salvador isn't his real name. This was his nickname. The Savior, the Messiah, the Rescuer, the Doctor. Essentially, we're back at square one. We don't actually know his name at all, other than Dr. Salvador was most likely bestowed on him by the other villagers for allowing the birth of children. Something's not right though. Salvador is just a normal villager. Why was he given such power over everyone else, comparable to the Bella sisters, or those most loyal to the Los Iluminados? We have to find out more about Dr. Salvador's role under Sadler if we were to assume that he was given the dominant species Plagas, which is the only feasible way to explain his power in-game, and would also explain him and the Bella sisters holding someone against their will to undergo a Las Plagas injection. There is a disturbing cave painting in 5-1. This is found in the cave with the conveniently placed golden links right next to it. We have a very sickening scene showcasing a ritual of some sort where something is ripped out of someone's chest. This is performed with spears and looks to be immensely inefficient and extremely painful. I'd rather not talk about it any longer, but it's possible that whatever this is was committed by an ancient branch of Los Iluminados, which would explain the weird location of such a painting. My point is that the inclusion of chainsaws were actually to make rituals like this more efficient, the ritual sites that we encounter throughout the game. Whether or not this painting constitutes another video is up to interpretation, but it all circles back to Dr. Salvador in the end, the circle of life, but with Las Plagas instead of human beings. I think the cave painting was depicting the earliest instances of the infection. This person had the symptoms that Leon showed at the lake, holding his stomach, coughing up blood. And this was an attempt to find out more, so they tore it out of this person's body. Beliefs of demonic possession and similar things were also common in history. Scenes like this were all too familiar. In a dormant state, Las Plagas remains in a spore-like form, but when administered to Leon, Ashley, and the villagers in the end credits, they are injected via a syringe containing an egg. This is confirmed by Lewis at the cabin.
Never mind. There's supposed to be some kind of obvious symptom before you turn into one of them anyway. Look, I know you're carriers. You've been coughing up blood, right?
Yeah.
And you?
Yes.
Damn it! The eggs have hatched. We don't have much time.
The eggs are very important to those in Sadler's circle, or those knowledgeable of its power. Out of the playable characters, these are Krauser, who's infected with the dominant species Plagas and thoroughly enjoys it, and Wesker, who abuses the sample Ada retrieved him, creating the events of RE5. Bear with me here, but the closest thing we have to the Plagas eggs are the chicken eggs. Some of you may know that the animations when holding eggs are different from grenades, which in itself is quite weird. Regardless, most of the characters have normal animations. Leon, Ada, Punk's one is actually the same as his grenade pose, but that's until we get to Wesker. He's looking at the egg as if it holds great power. This isn't a normal way to look at an egg, but you could still argue that I'm reaching way too deep on this one. It's just an animation of Wesker trying to look cool or whatever, and even for me this is a little too far, but we still haven't seen Krauser's egg animation. This character is both well versed in Las Plagas and its power, choosing to embrace it religiously and uses it to his advantage against Leon. It's probably nothing, but let's have a look anyway. What on earth is he doing? This was just as much as a shock to me the first time I saw this. He's holding it up to his chest with a look of immense admiration. I did say that Krauser embraced Las Plagas religiously, and this exaggerated display seems very fitting. This proves a theory brought forth in my Stalker video, where a few people agreed that the chickens could have been used as scouts. Their Plagas allows this intelligence and their miraculous ability to lay golden eggs, bringing great wealth to the residents of the castle and island, while the villagers were once again forced against their will to harvest them, just like the excavation site where the outbreak started. In summary, I think Dr. Salvador was held in high regard by Sadler and was subsequently granted the dominant species Plagas as a result. He was given the power of infinite life because he was both responsible for keeping the population of the village strong while also turning against them when the time came. Just like his never-ending death, his job as a doctor to save lives, the eggs, the long-awaited revival of Las Plagas, the circle of life repeats itself. Oddly enough, the only other character who shares the same power as the Doctor is the Merchant. Maybe there is a reason for this. A subject for another video though. I think that's all I have for this mystery for now. There's still a few small questions left unanswered. Off the top of my head, I think the sack on his head was an attempt to hide the shame of his betrayal from the other villagers. I understand if he didn't want to show his face after committing such a horrible act, so he got the newest potato sack from the farm and makeshifted the iconic mask that we all know and love, choosing to instead protect his friends from this point forth. This would explain why we don't see in the end credits nor the Bella sisters' bandages, which could represent the same thing. They all share masks of guilt and shame. His identity has been found before using the character models, his face mostly resembling that of Don Jose. All in all, I find Dr. Salvador to be one of my favourite characters in RE4, and absolutely the most mysterious enemy that we can come across. I really enjoyed discussing more about him and potentially finding out more about his character. I'd love to make more videos on other characters or even a part 2 on Dr. Salvador when I hear some of your ideas in the comments.